This is the Get Better Everyday podcast with Matt Gouget. Actionable advice from real-life superheroes who, just like you, are in relentless pursuit of the best version of themselves. Whether you're just getting started or have been at it for years, my hope is that this podcast injects you with some positive energy to continue doing what brings you joy. Join me as I interview the best of the best in business, sports, and life. Let's grow together. All right, another episode of the Get Better Everyday podcast. I got my buddy Ben Lavender, affectionately known as the British mortgage broker.
That's right.
And besides the sweet British accent, we're going to get to hear about all the things you're doing in 2023 and beyond to get better every day. Thanks for joining me, brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate you. Known each other a long time, I think. You know, we go back to, what was it, AIM Activate in California, where we collabed on that little thing.
That was a fun one. That was a fun one.
It's enjoyable. I love doing that stuff, like all the public speaking, the teaching stuff. It's fun to do.
Right. Yeah. And it's probably a shout out to the mortgage broker community. We got folks all over the country that have formed, great relationships. We're not competitors, right? We're all
no, there's too much business out there for us to be competing with each other. And we have so many, there's so much retail that's out there for us to take market share from. It doesn't make sense for us to compete, even if we were licensed in the same states. It still doesn't make any sense, right? And I think it goes back to everyone talks. I hate saying it because it's such a buzzword, but the abundance mentality, you have to have it. Because there is so much business. There's so much. It doesn't make any sense. So, for Elo's worrying about the guy down the block, it's silly, man. We can all get along. We can all support our families, make a good living. There's no reason to hate and think small, think big.
Yeah, no, totally. And that applies to any business out there.
True.
For those who are trying to get better every day, that's your, best defense. And that's the best marketing. Is you continue to get better. The top 10% of no matter what industry you're in, you're going to survive and thrive and do well. So, if you don't do your job well, or if you're not good at whatever it is that you're passionate about, I wouldn't expect great results. But if you're getting it better every day and doing good work, you're not going to have any problems. So I'd love to start with just who are you? Where did this British guy come from? Where are you at now? What kind of stuff do you have going on? And then we'll kind of, find some areas.
I'll pound through, Matt, if it's cool with you, and for the sake of the viewers and the listeners, to save them the headache, I'll pound through how I got into the business really quickly. Okay, so I joined the business 10 years and 1 week ago. My anniversary was last week. I was just graduating college. The owner of my current company, Madison Mortgage, Shah Tarani, he's a family, he's my second or third cousin. Anyway, I saw him at a family event. He was you're finishing college, come try mortgages. I was going to do accounting instead. Thank God I didn't, not for me. And whatever, that was basically it. And Shah was an amazing loan officer, and I worked under him as well as doing my own stuff for maybe 4 years. Okay, and I was very blessed because I learned from someone as good as him. I mean, wasn't only a fantastic loan officer, but now as a company leader, he's absolutely incredible. So over time, and this is kind of how you know me or how the community knows me, I think back in 2018, I started doing video marketing. And this was before anyone did video marketing in our business. Not anyone, but most people. Now everyone and their mom does it, which is good. Everyone should be doing it. Okay, so I think my videos back then were 60 seconds to maybe 2.5 minutes long. And back then, TikTok wasn't really that big, so people actually had the attention spans to look at a video for 2 minutes. They don't now. So that's really what got me notoriety, and as we were discussing, got me onto the AIM podcast, because that got around in the community, and then I jumped on and talked about that. So that was really the catapult to my business. My volume quadrupled in 2019 and 2020. I mean, obviously we all did in 2020, but 2019, it was absolutely massive. And the video marketing is probably responsible for 75% to 80% of that growth, I'd say. And now here I am, British and proud. So back to the British thing, I should have started with that. I moved here 20 years ago, that was another anniversary, 2003. I remember it very clearly. It was the day after New Year's Day. And I grew up in Great Neck, Long Island, very, very lovely area with my fellow Persian Jews. It's a large community there. So I'm half British, half Persian, by the way, for a lot of people that don't know. So yeah, I've been here for 20 years and, I moved in my mid-teens, which is why like my accent is 50-50. Sometimes it's American, sometimes it's British, but just depends. And now I, do mortgages, not like just do them, but I'd like to think I run a very good team here and we do very well. We're very happy. We produce a lot and we enjoy the process as we do it.
Yeah, I like it. I like your stuff online. We'll have links in the show notes and stuff. Is just, I think when you can combine educational with entertaining, that's what keeps people engaged, right? I've heard people, what do they call it? Like
edutainment.
Edutainment, right? It works, and it's pretty wild. I had a conversation yesterday. I want to kind of dive into what you're talking about with video, because not everyone listening is going to be in the mortgage industry. Is my hope, right? Get Better Every Day is wide enough to where it can be any business. And I'm talking to a guy yesterday who just started doing short form content on Instagram for his construction business. And I told him it will absolutely crush, because I think realtors, loan officers, other professionals, like they know that they need social media because that's where the end consumer is, right? They're spending time on their phones, watching videos, consuming content. But some of these trades, if you're a plumber or you're in construction, they don't necessarily know that, or they're afraid of it. They're just not going to do it. I know it and you probably know it. So like there is such opportunity for people across any business. If you're trying to get your message to customers and clients, the mailbox isn't very exciting. People aren't watching commercials. Everything's DVD'd or TiVo'd, and they're skipping through it, right? And so the 3 or 4 hours a day they're scrolling TikTok or Instagram or their feed, like that's where like the marketing gold is. I'd love to hear from you in the theme of Get Better Every Day. What are you working on to, I know you're doing it, right? You're doing it at a high level and across multiple channels. What's the plan going forward to continue to get better every day in that specific space of sharing your message of, we do mortgage and we do it well, give me a call?
Right. So it's a great question. And it's something that I've actually been working on this week specifically. And it's really just about, for me at least, and if you're listening to this, it may or may not be right for you, just depending on where you are in the market. But I need to cast a wider net. My goal is to, again, quadruple my production sometime over the next 2 to 3 years. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a lot of effort, and I have to revamp my system and just cast it wider. Has to be more frequent. I have to be in front of more eyeballs, so to speak, right? Because the majority of my audience are real estate professionals in the New York community. Long Island, the 5 boroughs of New York City, Westchester. So that's where most of my business is done, in addition to obviously all our buddies that we know nationwide are the loan officers. So I'm just trying to go bigger with it, right? Reach more people. But the question is, how do I do that, as you said, like in a fun manner that's educational and that isn't, what's the word? Oversaturated in terms of the style of the content. So what I'm seeing now is that everyone is doing that short form video content with the, the camera close up with the captions, and it's great. The problem is because everyone's doing the same type of content, the audience that sees it, they're like, this is the 5th, short form video I'm seeing now on, why buying a house makes sense. So that's becoming a problem, because even though the quality of my videos are great, they're not standing out because everyone else is doing that. So I'm trying to like revamp and figure out how I can separate that or slightly change it, whether it's a different, atmosphere, or I wear a silly hat, even though this isn't silly. Just a way for it to stand out, and also more variation in the content itself. That helps tremendously. So it's, again, I'm figuring it out, formulating a plan. It's going to take me a couple weeks. Thank God volume is still pretty strong, so I'm happy. But at the end of the day, it's not only how do I grow, but how does my team grow as well? I want there to be opportunity for them. I want them to also quadruple their production. So it's a lot to figure out, but it's a really, really fun challenge, and I'm excited. And I just want to crush. I just want to crush. And maybe it's an ego thing. I think all of us loan officers, we have a little bit of an ego in us, especially when all the rankings are posted and we see that stuff. And, you know, one thing about that, Matt, is the problem with like constantly tracking numbers is that, at least for me, I've experienced this throughout my career. It's happened at least once, where when all you focus on the numbers is that you're not focusing on the consumer experience, which is what it's really about at the end of the day. It's your relationship with the consumer and how pleasant, smooth, whatever adjective you want to use of a transaction that they had. So we're basically turning them into raving fans. That's the goal. And that is something rather, that is going to be my focus, give them an exceptional experience and grow the business. So I feel that if you take care of the client, you take care of the people that are referring you business, it's impossible for your business not to grow. So again, the question is, even though I'm doing that on a large scale already, I want to do it even bigger, even better. And like I said, it's a challenge, but it'll be a fun one.
Yeah, I like your mindset around wanting to do something that's different so that it stands out. Because I think, you know, my journey through growing a mortgage business, growing, you know, presence online and social media kind of, you know, content library that I've been building for, I think my 10-year anniversary in mortgage is next year. It's been a journey. And I think that what I try to do is just just go out there and take action. And then that one was not good. No more of those. This one landed. People liked this, more of that. And so it's a guess and check almost to a certain extent on that stuff.
It's a great point, Matt. Sorry to cut you off, but just to kind of double down on that, because for loan officers, like a lot of them won't even post a video. And then they get disappointed when they finally do because it doesn't have the results. And it's part of the process is doing what you just said, is just trying new things, seeing what works and recalibrating. And honestly, like, and I think you would agree with me, Matt, you can fall in love with that process. It can become really, really fun. And it's kind of like a game, right? And it's just like, how do we, you know, what do I do next? This piece of the puzzle, do I put it here? Do I slightly change? Do I zoom in? What do I do? It becomes really fun. So it's definitely something that I enjoy. And I think, Matt, you do as well. I mean, your YouTube is absolutely insane. Your marketing in general is great. So it's something that you must love.
I appreciate it. Yeah. And I have, you know, grown to love it and through consistently putting it out there, you know, you get all the positive reinforcement where, like, if the goal is to empower and serve people and you're getting like, thank you so much, that video was helpful. Oh, this was perfect. Like, I was confused about my escrow accounts and I got like, that's the stuff that I love. Like that's where, you know, the metrics don't necessarily translate to a profit and loss statement, but they make me feel good. Right. Yeah. And if I say my mission is to, you know, empower people through education, and I'm doing the things that I talk about, and I'm getting, you know, social, you know, reward for it by like, thanks, then I'm on the right track. I think we were talking about abundance mentality. And so rather than keep this great idea to myself, I just had an idea. And so I'm going to share it like right now, because what you talked about, I think, is something like really interesting and important, like client experience. Client experience is everything. I think you align with that. Me and my team align with that. Like, that's the goal, is to create a client experience where mortgages aren't always viewed as fun. A lot of people view it as a headache, and it's just a means to an end to get at home, right? That's the emotional part. I love the house. I love the granite countertops. I love that my kids are going to have a pool, all that stuff. And so, you know, I just thought about, Ben, what if instead of here's a 2-1 buy down, here's a strategy for this, and did you know you only have to put 3% down instead of 20? What if you did video series on what you're internally doing to create a great client experience? Because I know you're doing it, and I know
that's a good idea.
Yeah,
it's a really good idea.
That just came to my head, and as it was floating around and you were talking, I was like, that might be a good idea.
It's not only a good idea; it's very easy to do, because we're just taking things we're already doing and putting them on camera and explaining. Well, maybe not even explaining, just showing like a small thing. So my assistant, like I have her do nothing crazy. I have her call and text the agent, start a group chat, but chat rather, I just said chat at every
My chap from Britain.
good old chap. And she updates them at every milestone throughout the loan process. And the realtors absolutely love it. And just all I have to do is record her doing it. Takes 2 seconds.
Right.
And it's one of the main things that we get very, very pleasant feedback on, because no one else, at least in my market, does that, which is kind of shocking, actually.
Right. And
so it helps us stand out.
Yeah, no, and I was going to say too, with this abundance mindset, like me and you have seen it firsthand, where people know the importance of videos. We can tell everybody, record videos, just answer the questions clients ask. 99% of them won't. Ben Lavender, the British mortgage broker, showing future realtor partners, showing clients, here's how we make it easy. We set up this group chat. Like, you're going to do that, and everyone's going to say, that's brilliant. I should do it, but not implement it, right? And so
it's a good point, because most people are worried that like your competitors are going to steal your ideas. They won't, right? They would have done it already. Sure, maybe like one person may, and if they do, good on them. They took the effort on, and they wanted to implement it. If you want to steal my ideas and you do them well, or you do them better than me, then shame on me, and perhaps I can learn from you. Right. So at the end of the day, it goes with abundance, man. If you're worried, I don't want Joe Schmo down the block to steal my idea, you're not going to get anywhere.
I'm excited to see the Ben Lavender, since I brought it up and gave you the idea. You have to implement it, and then I might follow closely behind with some of that content, because I think it's important. I think that it's cool to think about how it translates to so many different businesses too, where my buddy with the construction, I'll use that example because it's fresh in my mind. He's talking to people about how a project might go, and showing a client step by step, here's what it's going to look like, creates comfort because they've got some knowledge. And like, I use the term a lot and probably use it too much, but like, empower people through education. When a client is educated about the mortgage process, they don't have to be an expert, but they know enough to feel comfortable. Like, it's a whole different experience for them versus somebody who's just bombarded with emails and documents and sign this, and here's the closing disclosure, and yes, you got to get your inspections. When it's coming at them, and there's people are going through the largest purchase of their lives while continuing to live their life, it's important to stress client experience. So that was, look, see how we did that, brother? Just get together, mastermind a little bit. Now we got
but we got to come up with more.
we should do this more often.
And to add to that, Matt, the other reason why I started doing video marketing to begin with is, like, education is important. I do agree. That's definitely, I'd say, my number one priority or my number two priority when it comes to video marketing, right? Give them value and demonstrate that you're an expert, but also give them some information that makes them feel knowledgeable. The other part that we have to think about from a lead generation perspective, or a referral generation, whatever you want to call it, is that, and we don't realize this because we're just, we're loan officers. We've been doing this forever. We're experts. We're comfortable. But the average person is a little bit intimidated to reach out to someone like us. So something that I try to use, I mean, I think I'm hilarious. Not everyone agrees, but as long as I do, that's what counts. But being a little bit goofy, or not silly or dumb, but just showing that you're a human on your social media, making mistakes, saying a word incorrectly, even like a typo. Sometimes, like, I'll notice when I have the videos edited, I'll leave a typo in there. And it sounds really dumb, but I do it because it makes me seem human. It makes me seem more relatable. If it's something obvious, then of course I correct it. But at the end of the day, we don't just want to provide information. And Matt, I'm sure that you agree, in your market, you believe that you are the best choice for a person buying a home or refinancing a home. Okay. I believe that about myself in my market. So by basically making myself more approachable, I'm able to reach more people because they feel comfortable enough to reach out to me, and I can provide them that amazing service, experience, rate, low closing costs, all that jazz. But that's the other piece, is how do you make them feel comfortable to actually reach out to you? I think that's key. And people have different ways of doing it. Some people like to show like their family life, if they're a gym freak, they like to show themselves in the gym, like a hobby that they do. I just like to act a little bit goofy, and that works for me. But everyone can find a way to help their audience relate to them a little bit better. And this way, that audience will actually use them for mortgage purposes. So keep that in mind. I think that's really, really key.
Yeah, that's a golden nugget that people can take and translate it to whatever they're trying to do, whatever they're marketing, or whatever they're
any business too, right?
Sharing online. Because to your point, like one of the biggest compliments I get is like, "Oh, you're like the same dude I saw on YouTube." Same attitude. Yeah, it's me, right? And that's where some people get it wrong. I'll lean into this because I think it's really good advice that you gave. When you're doing anything online, you want to be your imperfect self, because it allows people to say, "Oh, that dude Ben, he seems like a cool guy to work with. I'm going to reach out and see if Ben and his team can help me buy this next house." Or, Matt seems like somebody who I can trust referring my buyers to if you're a real estate agent. And like that is more important. And I'm slowly learning this. Like, get better every day means that like I didn't know everything when I started, and I still don't know. I'm learning every day.
Of course.
I could articulate the perfect reasons for buying down points or not buying down points, or a 2-1 buy down, and how I structure loans. At the end of the day, that stuff to me is less important than I like Matt, I trust Matt, I'm going to work with Matt.
Right.
And that's what people should remember. People don't want a polished commercial. That was the 80s, right? They want the short form content online, where if they're scrolling through and they've got a need, or they want to use somebody's services, they're going to go, "Oh, that guy Ben, he's pretty funny, and I see him posting videos 3 or 4 times a week. He knows what he's talking about. He's working with a lot of clients, so I know they know what they're doing. I'm going to give them a call."
And let me expand on that too, Matt. So it works on the other side of the spectrum, not just attracting clients, but attracting the type of clients that you want to work with. So let's take a small example. Let's say that we've got 500 Zillow or 500 Google reviews, right, on our Google page, and every single one is a 5-star review. Okay, 1, that looks fake. 2, what happens is that consumer expects absolute perfection. Okay. And the problem with that is that, I don't know, for your market, Matt, it might be a little bit different, but New York real estate is kind of the epitome of Murphy's Law. There are so many people involved. It's an attorney state. It takes on average 60 to 90 days to close a transaction here, just because of title. So something will always go wrong. So even if we do our jobs perfectly as loan officers, there will be some type of a hiccup. It's not like a financial thing where it will ruin the consumer's life or experience, but there's going to be a small thing. Maybe the seller needs another week to move out. But at the end of the day, because the consumer sees 500 5-star reviews, they were like, "Ben, I thought this was going to be a flawless experience." I'm exaggerating, but you get the point.
Right.
So what happens is that you end up attracting people that are more reasonable, right? So like the client that wants the absolute perfect experience, I'm not the loan officer for that person, because I cannot guarantee a perfect experience. I cannot convey that message when I have a client call me, because it's physically impossible for me to do. Again, I can make the mortgage process perfect, but I can't control your home inspection. I can't control your appraisal. I can't control title, the seller's attorney, right? Anything on the seller side that's going on. So there are so many things. But what I do find, Matt, and this is just something that I like to think that most of us do, is I set the expectations early with the consumer. It's actually one of the first things, what I kind of just said to you is one of the first things that I'll say to someone. And this way they know what to expect. And then if they're like, "Oh, I want the best of the best, perfect," then I'm just, I'm saying, 1, it's not really possible. But if that's something that you Like, if you want me to lie to you, I'm not going to do that. And, I wish you the best of luck. And I think that's key as well, because at the end of the day, as high level originators, we want to work with, or we want a balanced lifestyle. We love to work hard, don't get me wrong, but you have a family, you have things to take care of. I don't, not yet, a couple years. Don't worry, mom, I'm working on it. And it's just like, we don't want the people that everything is a crazy fire drill, right? We want people that are reasonable, that can communicate. And even though that buying a home can definitely be a high anxiety producing experience, we do the best we can to minimize it. But again, for the 10th time, we cannot control everything.
Yeah, I like that. And that's something that I definitely lean into. It's not always perfect. And, as a business owner who's running a business, truth be told, like you said, there's other variables that go wrong. We can make mistakes too. And, I use that as an opportunity. With clients we've closed, with clients that choose to do business elsewhere, with clients that we pre-approved that never bought, with as many people as I can, I'm always asking for feedback. What can we do to get better? We're trying to get better every day. And you'd be surprised at some of the feedback I've got that has really, truly helped implement great processes. And, circling all the way back to what we talked about, where client experience is everything. In a perfect world, like me and you would just do all we could to make sure that our client experience was better than anyone else's. And then products and all that other stuff would play second fiddle to that, because that's ultimately what people want. I'd love to hear your feedback on, how you deal with, challenges where you actually made the mistake, or this could be life or business.
I don't make mistakes, Matt. Come on, I'm New York's favorite British mortgage broker.
I mean, and this is something too. I think it's timely. I think 2022 was a tough year for a lot of people. 2023, the economy is, nobody really knows what's happening, and so there's going to be people that are faced with challenges while they're on this journey of, hey, I'm trying to get better every day. For me, like, it's been about a decade long of self-development and getting better every day. It's not always perfect, and that's what I want people to hear. So although you never make mistakes, Ben, maybe find some examples from personal life or business where, like, what do you do in that case?
So when it comes to mistakes, and of course I've made mistakes throughout my career, I find that, and this is something that Ishbia said a while ago, is that speed fixes everything. Okay, so if you made a mistake, you own up to it, you take responsibility. Sometimes, Matt, guys like us, we even take responsibility for things that have nothing to do with us, because it helps us take control of the situation and get it taken care of, right? And that's okay. It's not for everyone, but I think that's you and me pretty well, described pretty well. So yeah, so you want to attack whatever mistake you made immediately for two reasons. One is to obviously handle whatever that is. Let's say, I mean, I haven't done this for God knows how long, but let's say I gave out an inaccurate pre-approval. Okay, and then you realize your mistake. Very simple. You own up to it. It's absolutely, it's my mistake. I'm really sorry. You shouldn't have placed the offer. We made an error because we didn't see this. Totally owned up to it. 9 times out of 10, the client will be understanding. Of course, they'll be upset, especially if it's something that they were looking forward to getting. But we also provide solutions too. If you can't do it this way, here's another way to do it. So that's another thing. Always provide options. But the other thing that I was getting to, and this is more of like a self-development type thing or a philosophical business thing, is that when you make a mistake and you just kind of sit on it, it weighs up all this space in your mind, right? You feel this guilt, this heaviness, and you carry that with you. And when you're worried about taking care of that thing or fixing that problem, it stops you from moving on and doing other things that are just as important, if not more. So whatever it is, grow your business, do something with your family, whatever that case may be. So the key is really, for both reasons, for the client's sake and your own business's sake, you want to fix that problem as soon as humanly possible. Don't wait, first thing, as soon as it happened, boom, 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 go, go, go. And then you can always, readjust or recalibrate rather, when the dust settles a couple hours later, get back to your to-do list. And, that's the way that I see it. And, I thank Ishbia for that one. It's a great one.
Yeah, no, that is a great one. And what comes to mind when you talk about that, and owning up to your mistakes and having that conversation, swallowing the frog, some people call it. Alan Baydoun or somebody on that executive team at UWM shared an amazing stat, which people should, no matter what business you're in, this should excite you about future mistakes. It was a hotel survey that in the case where the client had a perfect experience and no problems, they had an X% chance of booking that hotel and being a future client.
Got it.
In the case where the hotel made a mistake, addressed the problem, fixed the problem, it went up exponentially, that they were now a future client of that hotel's and multiple stays. If they had a problem and they didn't fix it, then what you would guess, right, is the probability of them being a future client has gone down. But perfect experience is less of a win for a business than an imperfect experience where you owned up to it, you made it right, and made the client feel like, you know what, no matter what, if something goes wrong, Ben's got me taken care of. No matter what happens,
Right.
Matt and his team got me taken care of. And so if you look at it from that perspective, you can change your attitude of like, I never want to make any mistakes in my business to, I'm going to make mistakes. And when I do, I'm going to fix them. And the way I handle it is going to make this client an even bigger raving fan, an even more likely candidate for future business with us. So like, I got to find those exact stats because it was a really cool story. And when you think about it, it makes sense, right?
It makes total sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the perfect flawless experience is not memorable. It's great. Like I even think like when I go out to a nice restaurant, same kind of thing. It was, the food was delicious, but it was simple, like nothing really, there wasn't any drama. Drama is more memorable. Okay, so if something goes wrong, and then, we fly in and we're superheroes and we fix it, that's more memorable. Of course, we don't want something to go on. We're not lunatics, but it's an opportunity for us to not only connect with our client, but prove ourselves as someone that is, I think it's reliability. People want reliable people in their corner, especially in such a massive transaction like the hundreds that we handle. It's what connects us.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome, man. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I really appreciate you being on here, brother.
Thank you.
This episode specifically, there's some stuff in here. If you're listening to this, like go back and rewind because there's actionable advice. And we talked about mortgage specific stuff, but most all of it translates to any business. And so I thank you for that, for some really good actionable advice. We'll have links to your socials in the comments so people can go out and check your stuff out and be thoroughly entertained by the British mortgage broker. Any parting words?
Parting words, just never give up. Never give up. Stay positive. The mortgage business or whatever other business, all businesses are tough. If you want to be the best, the top 1%, you're going to have to do things that other people don't do. And I think having a really positive attitude and enjoying the people that you work with, the clients that you serve, it makes it so much better. It's so much more fun. If you find yourself, coming to work in the mortgage business and you're dragging and this realtor's calling me for this and this client's calling me for that, you need to flip your attitude to, I get to connect with these people more. I get to build a relationship with them more. And I think that's a particularly important right now, Matt, because a lot of loan originators are feeling, the contraction that's happening in our business, and it's easy to think that way, right? So stay positive, never give up, dominate.
I love it. Thanks, brother.